Hello, everybody. Randy Patterson here again with Boomerocity. Boy, when I get to talk to a legendary figure like Dion, I can't tell you what it means to me to be able to do so because these guys like Dion they're, they, they made such huge impacts on the musical landscape of our lives. In my case, it made a huge impact on the listening habits of my parents when they were kids and same age as Dion. For me, hearing all those songs and growing up and just having this huge appreciation for that music, especially Dion's music, and then to be able to talk with them, it's such an humbling experience. And to be able to talk to him the couple times that I have has always been wonderful. And this time is no exception. We talk about his new album, Girlfriends, and it's a series of duets with names that you'll know, especially if you're into the blues. A couple of them you'll know because you've been listening to Boomerocity, people like Rory Block and Joanne Shaw Taylor, um, all sorts. And you will know those names dead on by the time you've finished listening to this record. But Dion and I got to talk about this record, a little bit more about his history, and we just had a blast talking with each other. So much fun. And I think you guys will enjoy listening to this too. So if you don't mind, as always, would you share this video with people or this audio, either one, depending on how you're catching this interview? Would you share it with your friends? Let them know about Boomerocity. Also, would you like and subscribe? We need your help on the subscription side of things. That's how people like us make our money, and we're very much on the low end of that, but we're grateful for it all. So, if you don't mind doing that, I'd be eternally grateful, and maybe your friends will also like this as well. So, without any further ado, here is my latest interview with the legendary Dion DiMucci. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Andy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to see you again, Dion. Thanks for joining me. So,
Pleasure.
hey, it's been a little bit. How before I ask you about this new great album, tell me how the last album, the blues album, went for you.
Well received. A lot of those songs, in concert, people ask for them. Like the one that I did with Mark Knopfler. Played the dance world. People love that, and Blues Coming On with Joe Bonamassa. Those songs, they're fun to do in person. They're just they're fun to rock out with a band. My friend Joe Menza, who's a great guitarist, he just cops all the riffs and we go, but it's just fun, it's fun doing these songs. They weren't contrived or anything, it's just something I love. So it's coming from me and it finds an audience, they, did some shows and it's just, I get to sing these songs. It's fun.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I actually had this written down that one thing I've noticed about you with your music, um, and I'm not just saying this because I've got to talk to you now for the last two you've done, but you seem to really just have a lot of fun doing whatever the music is you're recording at that time. And I absolutely love what you did on both of these albums. I mean, you're an icon for the earliest of rock and roll, but gosh, you take that blues, you make it your own. You come across as genuine, as really having fun doing it. That it's just a blast, and it's for the music. It's not to, it's not. I mean, don't take this wrong, but it comes across as like it's really about the music and not about you, even though we're all listening to it because it's you, right? So to me, that's what's refreshing about what you're doing on these albums and this new one included.
No, the song is most important. It always, so the song is first. Doesn't matter who's on it. Doesn't matter about the record company. Don't matter about me, because if the song isn't right, nobody's going to care about anybody. When the song is right, all the Beatles are good looking. The song isn't right, nobody cares.
That's right. Everybody's ugly. So
The song has got to like land. It's got to resonate. And I think the the reason why I'm expressing that it's so much fun is that I think at this stage in my life, making albums used to be like agony. I don't know what it was. It was hard. Now I feel like I'm under the spout where the glory comes out. I'm like sailing. I feel like I'm roller skating, like I'm in the pocket. There's no angst. There's no, I don't feel anxious about anything or, it's just, I'm loose with it. I'm lying back and I'm enjoying it so much. And, you know, and the one thing I learned about working with girls is, hey, I think I'm going to do it again. This is a lot of fun.
Very good. So, well, you kind of downplayed the album or the label part of it, but I do think, don't you, that being with a good label and one that's more artist-centric, like Joe Bonamassa's label, like Mike Zito's label, and those just happen to be two blues-oriented labels for the most part. But I think that when a label thinks like an artist, it makes it better for you guys to be able to do what you do and have a lot more fun and come out with a better quality product, don't you?
I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, absolutely. That's Bonamassa's label. Roy Weissman. They really encourage me. They they encourage me. I come up with an idea. I come up with the who I want to play on it. Whatever conversations we have, they're like they enjoy working with me, and I enjoy working with them. It's a time in my life. It's the relationships we have here is I can't tell you, Randy. It's just that it's just smooth as oil.
Yeah. Well, ironically, and I want to get onto this new album here, but ironically, my second interview with Joe posted last week, and it wasn't what people would expect. It wasn't all just about the music. We were talking about his rhyming deal during the pandemic and his feelings about Rolling Stone magazine and things like that. It was a lively conversation, as you might imagine. So it's well worth the listen. I encourage you to listen to it. But gosh, I wrote down a couple of names who you worked with on this album. Rory Block and Joanne Shaw Taylor. I mean, two incredibly talented blues oriented women. I mean, and of course, Sue Tedeschi. I haven't interviewed her. I interviewed Derek, but I haven't interviewed Sue. I've always wanted to, but man, you must have just been, as they say here in the South, you must have been like a pig in slop working with all these wonderful women. Tell me about it.
Well, they changed the atmosphere of the room, believe me.
Yeah.
They're not only beautiful, they're talented, and they walk in a room, and the atmosphere changes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
A bunch of guys in there, it wouldn't be nothing.
Yeah.
It's just, I'll tell you, Susan Tedeschi is so down to earth, man. My only regret is I was trying to change it up a little. I didn't want every song to be a dialogue between, back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote these songs like differently, but we promised each other that up the line we're going to do a song together where she sings on it, not only plays guitar. Only played guitar on Soul Force. But Rory Block always comes up with her own thing. She's got so much to draw on. Her intuition bank is like so huge. She just, and when she rocked out on that song with me, she said, I wouldn't play this for your wife. Something like, don't play this for your wife. She went bonkers on it. She reminded me of Meg Ryan in that Billy Crystal movie.
I know what she's having.
She's having.
Boy, isn't that the truth? Well, she's a great performer, Rory is, and what a wealth of blues history information I mean, she knows everything about the blues. And as you know, and gosh, what a wonderful woman to sit down and talk to. I got to watch her at a small little gig up in Johnson City a year or two ago. And I mean, just what a treasure she is. And for you two to work together, my gosh, what a special treat that is to listen to.
Yeah, well, when you love music the way she does or I do, you want to know more about it and you want to know all the people. And I'll be honest with you, Randy, I listen to a lot of music.
Mhm.
So when I finish a track, like say the 14 tracks on this album,
Mhm.
when, when I when I finish a track and I'm in my truck and I'm listening to them, yeah, I know who I want to hear on it. You know, like you mentioned, Joanne Shore Taylor. I had this rocker, you know, this thing called Just Like That, and I got on Joe Bonamassa's Blues Cruise, and I heard her, you know, and I've been listening to her, you know, for a while, but I never met her. And I said, Jo, you know, Joanne, do this song with me, and she said I'd love to, and she rocked it out, man. She's something else.
Oh, she is.
Uh, it's fun working with these girls. I never tell them what to do, never, because they're artists.
Mhm.
They're hearing what they hear, and I don't want to fool with it. They just contribute with their soul and heart and mind and conscience is telling them to play. You know, like Susan Tedeschi, I asked her to do a video with me. She was having a hard time, like, you know, we wanted to mimic the you know, the guitar solo. Yeah,
Mhm.
she couldn't do it. You know, it came off the top of her head, so she didn't remember what she did. It wasn't practiced. It was just expressed. So it's that kind of thing, you know. These girls, well, even the guys, you know. But I did have so much before this album. I had so much fun working with Samantha Fish,
Mm.
Patty Scalfa,
Mhm.
uh, uh, you know, just some of the girls that I worked with. It was just Ricky Lee Jones. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So I thought, let me push this a little. Let me do maybe I could songs that you know I could get some more of these. You know, I want to do something with Sue Foley. I want to do something with you know, Susan Tedeschi. You know, Danielle Nicole, who I love. You know, I
Mhm.
want something with her. So
Yep.
wrote the song, and man, she killed it. You know,
She did.
fun.
So normally when I talk to people about their new albums, I always ask if was a surprise, but I get the sense, tell me if I'm wrong, you had several surprises on working on this. Tell me a couple of them. All you want to tell me.
You know, I wish I could think of them, but I had many, just many surprises. You know, for one, take the Danielle Nicole thing. I did a song called "Aim to Please," right?
Mhm.
And you know, I wrote it like a Jimmy Reed thing. You know, like I wanted to do like a shame, 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 down, 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 down. Yeah. So I sang it like that. You know, and she comes in, I'm here. She says, do you want me to sing it here or do you want me to sing it here? Because I'm not in your range. So I have to sing it low or high. So I said, why don't you sing it up high? It'll give it more contrast. So I give it, you know, she comes in and she sings two verses on it and she sings it with so much energy that I had to go in and recut like two of the verses. I left the first verse alone because it kind of gets you into the song.
Yeah.
But I was, you know, when she hands it off to me after she does a verse, it was like I was sleeping. I had to go in and kind of match it up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's one thing. Then we just recently did a video. So I'm like, I said, I'm going to do my part. I do my part again. I'm standing there, I sing the song. She comes in and does this outrageously demonstrative, energetic performance.
Yeah.
I like I'm sleeping again. So I had to go in and do it again. So
She's making you work, man.
she pushed me. She pushed. Well, but you always get these surprises that like, I went in and did a song with Sue Foley, and we sang the whole thing in harmony, like the Everly Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
The whole song, she word for word, she was like right with me. And then when it was over, she said, Dion, and we listened to it back. She said, it's not going to work. She said, you got to pull me out on some lines. And she told me the lines, and we pulled her out. And so it works where it's very special when she comes in.
Mm-hmm.
The whole song together. These are things that, you just try. You don't have anything. I couldn't plan this if I tried. I just go in and I like to have a very solid track. No, I don't want it too messy, getting in the room, getting in the way of anybody's solo or words or delivery. So I get a very solid track, and then I like to, because we didn't do it all live. Then I like to have that expression because I'm an expressionist. I
Right.
don't sing the song the same twice, and neither do these girls.
Right.
Or play their, play guitar. It's all improvised. It's very off the cuff. It's so that's what I love. I love the expression from me and what they bring to it. You have these two very expressive voices on it that you could hear clearly and nothing getting in the way of it.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. So it's very loose in one sense, but it's very formal and structured in another way. I don't like a wavering track, man. I like it to groove. So I'm a mixture of those things.
I'm curious. I didn't have this written down, but this idea just question popped in my mind. And I know you're a confidently humble man. The times I've talked to you, other interviews I've watched of you. So this may be a hard question for you to answer, but I got to ask it. Were any of these women that you worked with, because of who you are, the legend that you are, the impact on the musical landscape and the soundtrack of not only my life, but I mean, my dad, my mom, I mean, you were there, they were right there with you around the same age and all that, just singing along and all that. Did you find that any of the women working on this album were just a bit starstruck and like maybe in awe, maybe a little intimidated to work with you at all? Did you sense any of that?
I didn't sense any of that. Oh, they were like, first of all, a lot of them are friends, like Christine Oldman, I know in a long time, and Rory Block.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Sue Foley, I've known a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I called,
I got you to blush a little bit. I can't believe that.
when I called Susan Tedeschi, this is so funny. She is so down to earth. She don't care. I called her. I said, Sue, I said, Susan, I'd like you to do a song. I have a song. What do you think? She says, could I FaceTime you? So I said, sure. So she FaceTimes me, and she's sitting out on the back, like veranda up in Georgia, and she says, she's sitting there like, no makeup. Her hair is like, she has a thing, she looks like she was just cleaning the house or something. So, Dion, she says, you got turn the camera around. You got to see the deer in the meadow here. She turns it around, and you could see forever. There's no buildings, it goes just
Wow.
beautiful, beautiful pasture, and these deer like coming up to the porch. And,
Wow.
and I'm sitting there watching these deer for 20 minutes. I'm like thinking, I want to ask about my song, but but she's like enthralled with these deers, But she couldn't care less. It was like, oh, it was great, I was, to be honest with you, I was a little in awe of a few of them, because they're so talented,
They are.
Debbie Davies is a friend for forever, she's got this real depth in traditional blues. I love the way she plays. I could go on and on about these women, Uh, like creativity. I love this. I'm glad you mentioned that because I love the surprises, and that's what makes it worth it. And
Mhm.
I think those surprises come across too. Like I wrote this song "Endless Highway," and I heard a slide guitar on it.
Mm.
I was going to ask Rory to play, but then I thought, Randy Fishenfeld, she's a dynamic
Yes, she is.
down here. She's unbelievable. And she's very demonstrative and she doesn't write anything down. She's just all inspired, inspiration. So uh, I thought, a violin sounds sort of like a slide guitar.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what she sounds like on it because and she's very into the blues and stuff, but she's local and we love her around here. She packs out places. And so we had a ball doing it. She just, these are, that's just, you know, these things, you try them. Sometimes they don't work. But on this album, I don't remember anything that didn't work. It just seemed to, I never said, no, this don't like I did a song called Sugar Daddy. I had an idea of this guy my age. I thought getting old would take longer.
Yeah, you and me both, man.
Old people are the same age as I am. I don't know how that is. So but I got, I was thinking this old guy and this younger girl. She's on, the computer and she wants to chat and she wants to text, and he's like, "Honey, I'm old school. I'm old school, but I got it going on. You know, I'm romantic and all that, but I don't know what you're talking about with texting and all. So I wanted to write a song like that. So I wrote the song called Sugar Daddy. And I gave it to Christine Ullman. And I tell you, who knew what she was going to do with it? She did something so distinctive. Uh, that's what I love. I think real art is something you recognize. It's very familiar. You say, that's a tree. That's a house. That's a play. That's a song. It has verses, but it's very distinctive. You never heard anything like it. It's like just different, and it's good. And that's what I love. Something, and you're seeing it just a little different,
Mhm.
but it's not something you don't recognize. You in a way you recognize it on every level, but you've never seen it like this before. It's something different, and that's what I love. And I like listening to people like that.
Yeah, for sure. I I asked you this about your last album, so I'll ask you about this album. Which song would you point to as the calling card for the whole record? If and I hesitate asking that because it almost sounds like you're picking a favorite person you're doing a duet with, and I know it's not that at all. But as far as the song in its totality, if you were to tell a fan about the album who hasn't heard any cuts yet, hasn't seen anything on YouTube about it yet, saying, if you like this song, you're really going to love the rest of the record. Which song would it be?
Wow, that's a hard question.
Not your favorite, but the one you'd use as a calling card.
Wow, I do like Soul Force, and I like Don't You Want a Man Like Me. I love the bragging rights that you have in the blues. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
I'm a man, coochie coochie man, mannish boy. Like it's like it's like you get a chance to, the wanderer, king of the New York streets. I'm the
Mhm.
captain of love. I got the cure. Uh, you know, don't you want a man like me? Uh, but I love those type of songs that just so over the top, and and I start out with a theme, and it's I hope it's just as strong at the end as it is in the beginning.
Yeah.
Songs
Yeah.
both those songs. I like the groove, and they're blues. They're just down earth blues songs. They're simple, and I just love working and recording those two songs. But you know, I don't have a real favorite. I love the thing I did with Carly and Carter. It's different. It's not a blues song per se, but I really wanted. I just it was on my heart, so I wanted to do it because I felt there's an illusion of division today, and especially in the States. Uh,
Hmm.
it's I don't, because when you get together with people, we all really want the same thing. I think. Uh, so I thought, let's not look to politicians or Hollywood or rock stars or to worship. Men are not created to be worshipped. It's bad for the person wanting to be worshipped, and it's bad for the person worshiping. So
Yep.
let me write a song where it says, "Look into your own heart and be a hero." You know, take responsibility and help the 10 people around you. Be the hero right there. If everybody could do that, be a great world. So
It sure would.
I wrote the song called American Hero, which kind of, just kind of looks at the everyday man and saying, we're the heroes.
Yep.
We
That's
can,
right. We are. Hey, one song that really grabbed my attention was "I Got Wise." Tell me about that, because I just thought the lyrics of that were so cool. Very, very well written song.
oh, thank you. I really, it's crazy. Talk about surprises. I was after uh, Chrissy Hine, and Chrissy Hine was so busy and busy, and then Christina McVeigh, I wanted to, so I'm
Mm.
like trying to get one of these girls to sing on this thing. And McVeigh dies, and Chrissy Hines, like, she's like so busy. So I'm sitting there with the song, and the song is kind of a reversal of a relationship where a guy is playing a girl. In this song, the girl is playing the guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. Like I'm on the blues cruise again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm walking through the atrium, and I hear this voice. I said, "Who is that?" And somebody right next to me said, "Maggie Rose." And I said, "Maggie Rose? I never heard of Maggie Rose." And I sat and I watched the whole set, and then I was enthralled. She talk about a distinctive sound. Like sometimes a little style goes a long way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bob Dylan, Johnny Cash. It goes a long way. She uh, she was incredible. So I said, I have a song. And when we got off that ship, she went into the studio and recorded this thing. And it was so, her sound is so enthralling to me that she sings most of the song. I, I said, and I like the way I sing, and I was singing the whole song. Yeah, it's hard to take yourself off and say, well, I'll take myself off this verse, and I'll give it to her. But like I said, the song is important. So
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter if I like what I did or not.
Mm-hmm.
Let's let's make the song the best it could be. And I love what she did on it. Don't. I'm glad you pointed that out. She has a very distinctive sound. No, it's mesmerizing.
She does, but I mean the lyrics too. I mean, I was just like, wow, what a great line in there. And you even pulled in a little bit of New Testament in there. I noticed, greater is he that is in me, that kind of thing. I was like, this is pretty cool. I was That's the kind of surprises that, hook me when I'm not expecting them. Obviously, that's what makes them a surprise. But I thought, What a dang well-written song, you know? That was just very cool. So,
Thank
but
you.
but
Well, like I said, I really wanted, in fact, there was a kid from England, a young guy. He said, I brought all my friends in to listen to this album. He said, we listened to it 3 times, word for word. He said, we listened to all the words. He said, and you really start out strong with these themes and you end up strong. A lot of people peter out, you know?
yeah, yeah,
That's what I was trying to do, but nobody's ever caught it like he did. I said, wow, thank you.
that's cool. That is cool. Do you have a minute for me to ask you about something else aside from this album? Just take a minute if you have the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I'm starting to ask people that have gone back a while into business, and I try not to repeat questions that you've probably answered a million times, but I'm working with Dave Pratt out in Phoenix, Arizona. He owns Star Worldwide Networks, and don't really want to do so much the story behind the songs because that's been done a million times. But I'm just curious if you have a unique story that involves, one of your hits, like Run Around Sue or The Wanderer or any of those, something that just when you think about that story, it just, touches your heart, makes you smile really big, brings a tear to your eye, some kind of emotion there that you like sharing the story of.
Eh, Well, there's a song that I've never performed it in person, uh, but I wrote it about an 8-year-old girl, uh, Jennifer. It goes, I thought that I could challenge rain and sing to ease the greatest pain in those days. While turning in a morning sleep, I dreamed the mountains I would leap in those days. But Jennifer knew, beneath her taffy colored hair, she can. Past my lonely search for cheers, her whispers finally reached my ears. Jennifer knew. Like, when you're young, you think the whole world revolves around you. You're so self-centered. You think, you're just selfish, self-centered, inconsiderate. You're just always in self-involved. And then you look at this girl and you feel like she's looking right through you. You're going, big bag of wind. But I love the song. I love the song. I have a hard time reciting lyrics without a guitar and singing. So forgive me for that, but I
Right.
was getting it across. But when I listened to that song, it was never a hit. I don't think I've ever sung it on stage, but I loved writing it and I loved singing it, and I love the idea about it, the whole thing.
That's cool. That's very cool. Well, what's on your radar? What are you going to do in support of this besides talking to bozos like me? You going to hit the road with it? Or what are you going to do?
Yeah, it'd be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But really, we have a play um, that will be premiering this year in the fall on Broadway. I
Really?
think we have the theater, which we're negotiating it right now, and it's called The Wanderer, and it has early history of rock and roll in it. It's a trip.
Wow.
Love to take people on a trip, whether it's a 3-minute song to get into enchantment and delight and pleasure. I want to do to people what Jimmy Reed and Hank Williams did to me.
Right. Right.
And feel that, what I felt. So whether it's a play or a book or a song, that's what I'm all about. So this thing takes you through the history of, early street rock and roll and street action with the gangs in New York,
Mm-hmm.
romance, betrayal, overcoming, a lot of laughs, great music, and it's a play that cannot be denied. So we're putting that together. Little Stevie Van Zandt and myself with we sat with it and we kept it on track, and musical advisors, and I love the way the kid wrote it, because the way it's my music, but the where he places the songs is just it's incredible. I don't know how he did it. You know, he did a great job. So I have a few, you know, irons in the fire,
Well,
but
that really intrigues me. I'm going to watch for notes from Bob Merlis on this, because I might take a drive up there if I can, sneak in through the backstage or something and watch this thing. That's the kind of stuff I love. And let's try to, if you don't mind, if you're up for it, maybe about a month out before you guys hit the stage with that, let's do one of these and make more people aware of it. So if they're going to be in the area, they can buy tickets, do whatever. I think that would be a fascinating chat to chat up that particular play. That would be amazing.
yeah, you know, it's difficult to take the blues or rock and roll and Broadway. It's like a shotgun marriage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and being done, and you can do it well if you don't, if you keep this groove of the songs and, you know, keep it authentic. It works. It works.
It does. I'm looking forward to hearing more about it. And like I said, later in the fall, let's circle back with each other and chat about it to make more people aware. But, before we hang up, Dion, I just want to thank you again, not only for taking the time to talk to me again, but thank you for all the years of great music, man. Both for my parents, they enjoyed it. They're the same age as you and me. I mean, hearing all that stuff, a smile comes to my face every time I hear your voice. Heck, even through the Christian music era, early 80s, man, like I mentioned to you before, we sold out of your albums. I worked at a Christian bookstore back then in 80, 81, somewhere around in there. We'd get a box of your records in, they sold out within the week. I mean, just like that all the time. And it was, people loved what you did even with that stuff. And so, your voice permeates the soundtrack of my life, and I want to thank you for that. So it's always an honor and a privilege to talk to you just for those reasons alone. So thank you.
Thanks, Randy. You have a blessed new year.
You too, sir.
And all the good surprises.
That's right. That's right. So we'll talk to you again soon, my friend, and my door is always open to you.
God bless, Randy. You stay well.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.